Muted.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third of 7 webinars regarding the Campaign for Double Reading. Again, I'm Charlotte Webb, Coordinator of Elementary Education in the Office of Early Learning, and I'm here with my colleague, Monica Delamay, the Executive Learning.
Good afternoon.
We'll also have another special guest, Laura Jane Murphy of the United Way of River Cities, will be sharing with us later. As we proceed, you'll note, as usual, that all participants are muted. If you do have questions, though, please feel free to type them in the chat box, and we'll stop periodically to answer. The goals for this session today, are coming in the wrong order. Let me just get them all up there. First, our Virginia's definition of school readiness is. We're going to take a look again at those midterm reports that are coming up specific just to that area of school readiness. What kinds of promising practices and resources are available? What the future of the Campaign for Grade Level Reading school readiness is. So just some of the things that we're working on from the state level to try to support your county campaigns. We're going to talk again about the resource guide that's going to be available to you soon, and then just our next steps and future webinars. So we're going to start right out by looking at that West Virginia definition of school readiness. So Monica, would you share that with us?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Charlotte. Good afternoon, everybody. And I'd like to take you to the Ready, Set, Go WV website.
Sorry, they don't see my screen. Let me change that.
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
Bear with us, folks.
I think we are now.
Yes. Okay. So, yay. Okay, Rhonda Combs, thank you for letting us know that. We're going to go to the Ready, Set, Go WV website, and whenever you, there we go. Whenever you go to Ready, Set, Go WV, you're going to see some different resources there, and I'd like to just take just a few moments to talk very briefly about some of the resources on here, specifically at the bottom. The School Readiness Profile is an area or is a resource that many of you have used before if you're part of the County Collaborative Early Childhood team. It has a wealth of resources broken down by county level that you can use to make data-driven decisions about school readiness. And our 2015 profile is in full production right now. We are anticipating a January 2016 release of that document, and we'll have more information to come as we get closer to the publication date. The second resource I'd like to show you is the Family's Guide to School Readiness. It's right here. Currently, it is red, but we anticipate in the next week that our newest version of the Family's Guide to School Readiness will be put here on the website. The other exciting thing about this resource is that we are printing 100,000 of these brochures. And I'd like to laugh that they're all going in Charlotte's office, but I wouldn't say that because there's not room. So anyway, they will be distributed to county WIC offices, pediatrician offices, R&Rs, other agencies that serve young families or families and young children, certainly. So we'll be working with each county to have a plan to disseminate those as well to make sure that families have the opportunity to just learn a little bit more about how they can best support a child prior to pre-K or kindergarten entry in the state of West Virginia. And then I'd actually like to take you through this School Readiness Transitions Toolkit. Now, for any of you who have been around in the early learning world for any amount of time, you'll probably recognize this Ready, Set, Go West Virginia logo and also the framework and the toolkit. In 2011, Ready, Set, was developed as a framework to support young children and families with transitions prior to and after school entry. And in this resource, you will find the framework itself, which really looks at the child at the center of everything, supported by families who are then, of course, supported by Ready schools and programs. And, of course, the infrastructure of the Ready state and the Ready community is also critical to consider. With this in mind, we know that we have a formal definition that the State Board of Education has adopted for school readiness. And we know that school readiness is not simply, is my child ready for school? Can the child do their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s? Instead, we've taken a much more comprehensive view of the young child and looked at all areas of development. And really with school readiness, it's a process that provides the infrastructure for states, communities, programs, and schools, resources and ideas to support families and children as they come into and out of those early learning programming, specifically as they enter West Virginia Universal Pre-K or West Virginia Kindergarten programs. We want to make sure that their transitions are smooth and that there are multiple opportunities for them to engage in positive first experiences during those early years. Within this resource, so I'm certainly not going to read all of this. Some of you have used this before with vertical teaming, with your early learning programs. Some of you have used this as if you are part of your early childhood county collaborative team. There are descriptions of what a Ready state, what a Ready community might look like, and how they can assist in these efforts. And then we move into the Ready schools, Ready programs, the description, and different things that they would provide. And then we look at the Ready family and how we know that families can be supported to help ensure their child or their children are supported and that their needs are met as well. And so I would encourage you to look through this if you've yet to do so. Of course, at the center of everything is the Ready child. We want to make sure that children are supported, that they have opportunities to engage in those positive transitions, that they have access to high-quality programming and other opportunities to be successful. We have information in this resource about understanding early childhood transitions, typically big rocks of where children come from whenever they come into school, whether it be universal pre-K or kindergarten. And then we have a list of resources that you might use as you move forward. And then we actually have the Transitions Toolkit. And this is a really useful resource that your county collaborative early childhood teams are likely already using. And I know that many of you are also members of this team, or the early childhood collaborative team. That's the beauty of the school readiness component of this whole campaign, in that why recreate the wheel whenever there are such strong practices in place already by your county collaborative teams with regard to school readiness specifically. The toolkit simply has suggestions of potential transitions and a suggested timeline. These are not required individually, though we do know that a transition process has to be in place to support children via our universal pre-K policy, certainly. But these are simply suggestions. And ultimately, when we get to the bottom, you can take time and look at this. Well, the bottom. But I thought it showed the graphic again. I want to take you back very briefly just to this original graphic before I give it back to Charlotte. If we look at children and their needs and supporting them and supporting their families, there are many, many things that schools and programs and the state and communities can do to help ensure that children are well equipped, are excited to learn, and that we're truly looking at them comprehensively, with all areas and domains of development. So that philosophical difference in what you may have historically looked at as being ready for school is something that our state's early learning community has really embraced, and we're excited to share with you all today. If you have more questions about this resource specifically, Charlotte will let you know who to get a hold of in our office. Lisa Ray. It used to be me before I became the executive director, and now Lisa Ray is our early learning assessment and school readiness coordinator. So I'm going to give it back to Charlotte, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you the important resource of Ready, Set, Go, WV.
Monica, before you go, would you mind, I know we have a lot of new people who have taken over the role of county lead. Could you share with them just who are some important partners that they need to make sure at the table to help with this work?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We know in Policy 2525, which is the Universal Pre-K policy, there are some required partners who would serve on these county collaborative early childhood teams. Your Head Start partner is critical. Your child care DHHR representative is critical. Representative from preschool special needs is also critical. But you're also going to have potentially family members or kindergarten educators and administrators, because remember, in the state of West Virginia, school readiness looks at the status of children as they enter first grade. That has made kindergarten and pre-K collectively the early learning readiness grades in our state. So there could be a plethora of additional partners. And on the West Virginia Universal Pre-K website, we have guidance, and if you've not been familiar with that page, talk to your county pre-K coordinator. Some of you are the pre-K county coordinator. I see the list of our individuals on the webinar, and I can see some of you right off that you know that very well probably. But in these resources on the Universal Pre-K page, there are lists of potential individuals who could serve and who are serving on these county collaborative teams. So if this is something you're not familiar with, your county collaborative early childhood team, please note that they are aware of, and I would say more than willing and ready to assist and make sure that all these efforts are aligned. So I would encourage you to check that out.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much.
Sharing. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at that midterm report. And you'll note on the slide that the due date used to be January 31st. However, that has been extended until February 29th. And the good news again is that you and your team are welcome to attend a RESA-based meeting that it's already been scheduled. You may or may not have already gotten that information from your RESAs, but at those county teams, at those RESA meetings with your county team, the good news is that the literacy specialists assigned to your county and we will be there with the specific purpose of helping you complete your midterm report and get a start on your next year's action plan. So again, our promise to you is that when you leave the meeting that day, you're going to have your report completed, ready to submit. So I hope that sounds like a good deal. But not only that, another thing about which I'm even more excited than that is that we are working on a resource guide that will provide a current list of national, state, and local partners that are available to serve you in your county for each component of the campaign. We recently had a partner, we had a meeting of partners that support school readiness, and gosh, it was just very encouraging, the meeting. It was very clear to me, and I think we even saw this when you turned in your original action plans. When it comes to school readiness, as a state, we have a very clear understanding, a clear definition, a clear framework, and really a clear vision of where we're going with school readiness. And we saw that in the partner meeting too. Partners that from organizations that provide resources and services to support children and families came and were just excited about the campaign, excited about how they can get involved if they weren't already, how they could expand if they're already involved, and just how they can support you with your county campaign. Now, let me tell you one thing that I have heard. We've had one question: do we have to complete all the sections of this midterm report if we're not addressing it in our action plan? And the answer to that is yes. Again, we are going to help you with that. So, you know, I don't want that to seem burdensome to you. But the reason for that is we know those components that affect that third grade reading proficiency. And they are the school readiness, they are the extended learning and attendance. So even though you may not have specifically allocated funding to go towards any one of those components, we still want to keep in mind the big picture. And just, you know, kind of just like your dashboard of your car, you know, just keeps you aware of making sure that everything is working correctly, because it may be you are only working towards attendance right now. You know, you decided to take a you know, a real focus in that area. But if you're taking a look at all these other components too, once you kind of get your momentum going with attendance, then you may decide, well, you know what, here's our next biggest gap. So we want to start looking at how we can provide support in this area too. So it's just going to help us keep that big picture in mind. All right, I just had a question. Is the template for the midterm report in the grant? It is not. The template is actually posted on the campaign website. When you go to the campaign website, under the campaign tab, and then the system of support where all of our resources, all the webinars and resources are, it is there. But if you can't find it for whatever reason, feel free to just email me and I'll just send you a copy of it. Okay, so let's look at that school readiness section. With the school readiness section, there are actually 3 goals. One is to have a higher percentage of the pre-K students that are entering school with that higher score in the ELRS. And this is going to be during the initial reporting period. All this information will be available very soon. We will have it for you by the time we get to those RESA meetings. So if you don't already have access to that, I know that Lisa, she couldn't join us today, but I know that she is working feverishly on getting all that together. And the recommendation, you'll notice here on the slide, this is a picture of what the template looks like. You'll notice on the slide the recommendation is in year 1 a 25% increase over the baseline. Again, this is just a recommendation. We took this directly from the national campaign's recommendation. It's just a place to help you start thinking, you know, what makes sense, what would be reasonable for it, you know, for us to work towards for the first year. So, and you can see all the skills here that are listed. Then the second goal is to have a higher percentage of kindergarten entering school, either at the developing at standard or above standard on the ELRS, or the Early Learning Reporting System. Same as above, if you don't already have access to that data, I know it's coming. And please remember, make sure that during that reporting period, if your teachers don't complete that classroom data entry, then you're not going to have accurate scores, because that's where we're going to be drawing down that data from. It would be from the ELRS. And then the The third goal is to have a higher percentage of children entering school with completed health information. Okay, so a lot of this is accessible to the nurses through WEVIS if it's been entered. If it hasn't been entered, then you can compile it from, the student comprehensive physicals, oral health forms, and immunization information. And again, you have the recommendation in year one, a 25% increase over the baseline. And I know that a lot of times when we talk to county leads, that they're sometimes almost apologetic about, I don't have time to do this. I don't want you to apologize about that. That's the whole purpose of the campaign. I understand you don't have time to do it. I understand that, this is a big, big goal and a big, big vision. And remember, the whole heart of the campaign is schools can't do it alone. So I really hope that you don't ever feel like we're trying to put one more thing on your plate, but rather we're trying to help partners and you be able to engage so those partners can support these things that schools, again, don't have any sphere of influence over. So, that really is our goal. That's the goal of the literacy specialist, to help you engage with partners, help you think through what kinds of projects or activities or resources that you might need to get that going. Who are the partners that need to be at the table, just like Monica was sharing with us as well. So, and let me go back to here. When you think about the midterm report, really, ultimately, it all comes down to one thing. We're hoping to have children coming to school more knowledgeable and healthier. Now, I don't want that to be confusing with West Virginia's definition of school readiness, because the state definition of school readiness says that as a school, as a county, as your district, that we understand that children come to us at varying levels, varying experiences, just a variety of background knowledge and interactions. We recognize that they come to us in very different ways. We want to be prepared to accept them and to provide for them, provide instruction and care for them, no matter what level they are when they come to us. So that's the West Virginia definition. But when we think about the campaign, we're asking those partners who have sphere of influence over those families and children to be able to help families, help support children, that is at the same time that we're ready for them however they come to us, that partners are supporting, helping getting children and families in a better place to begin their learning. So just coming to school with more knowledge and information and healthier. Okay, I just had another question. It says, my WEVIS contact doesn't know how to pull the health information. Can someone provide us with the detailed directions for getting this from WEVIS? Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be happy to do that. Again, I think Lisa Ray would be the one that would take care of that. Sonia, if you don't mind, would you just email me that question so I don't forget it, and let me get the correct answer for you, and I'll send it out to everyone. I'll just send it out to the listserv for all of you about how to get it. Great question. Thank you for asking that. Okay, so looking at this slide, you might be asking yourself, especially if you're new, I've talked to several of you recently who have just taken over this position. You weren't part of necessarily writing the action plan, and it is overwhelming to you. So let me remind you, we are here to help. I am the literacy specialist. That's our job. We are more than happy to help you. But you may be asking yourself, where do I begin? Well, I think research always helps us guide our planning in this area. So let's take a look at these. I know I've shared these with you before, but I think it just bears repeating. As you look at these slides, the only behavior measure that correlates significantly with reading scores is the number of books in the home. Take a look at this one. A typical middle-class child enters first grade with about 1,000 hours of being read to, while another child from a low-income family averages just 25 of those hours, and is often differences in availability or access to text. And what about this one? The most successful way to improve the reading achievement of low-income children is to increase their access to print. And this is the one that always blows my mind, that I know it's specifically talking about extended day, extended year learning, but just thinking through that giving children access to self-selected books, books that are have piqued their interest. They're about topics in which they, have some interest or want to inquire about. That giving them self-selected books at a total of about $50 can have the same improvement in school performance as $3,000 worth of summer school. Well, imagine if they are getting those books prior to even coming to school. So just thinking that through about what that really relatively small investment can do as far as supporting children and families and their reading proficiency. So I think it's pretty obvious. Really, if you're wondering where to begin, and we said the same exact thing when we did the extended learning webinar. If you're not sure where to begin, this is a great place to start. Just getting books in the hands of children and families, providing that access to text. But now, let me tell you, I as well as you, I'm sure, know that that really is only a first step. Let's say we do get books in the hands of every single child and every single family. Well, you know what? We're also going to have a mechanism in place to coach families with how to engage with their children. And today, Laura Jane Murphy is joining us from the United Way of River Cities. And I'm going to ask her to share some of the exciting work that they've done pertaining to this topic. I have to just find her here on my list. Laura Jane, welcome. Are you there? Laura Jane, we can't hear you yet. Okay, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening with her sound. Okay, I see you're there. We can't hear you. I don't know if you maybe can call in. We'll give her just a second to do that. But this is some really exciting work that they've had going on in their United Way in Cabell County, and it's expanded across the state. So I'm really excited about her sharing this work with you. Are you there now? No, I still don't hear you. Okay, well, I've got you unmuted. If you get your sound worked out, we'll come right back to you, okay? So we'll just move on while she works on that. I do want to talk to you a little bit about some of the steps that we have in place just from the state perspective about these are some things that we're hoping to leverage again from the state level that I think may be harder for you to do from the county level. So as you take a look at this slide, you can see that first of all, like we said, our first step is getting books in the hands of children, and one way that we're working towards that is with Imagination Library. Now here's something really exciting. With the campaign from the beginning in your initial action plans, several of you included Imagination Library as part of your plan. We had 8 that joined initially, and Robin Taylor from the Department of Education and the Arts told me that within the past week, she's had 5 additional counties calling, wanting.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can! Yay! Yeah.
I had to hang up and call again.
Oh, that's fine. Let me just finish this slide, and we'll go right back to you. But 5 additional counties have decided to add that as well. So we are looking right now at 38, I believe, 38 states that have that in place. And again, we're working hard to try to engage with partners that are going to help us take that statewide. Then we, of course, are going to have that partner participation where any partners that are engaged with families and children of that birth to pre-K age group are supporting families by making sure they're signed up for Imagination Library, making sure they know how to engage with their children with those books. Not that we're asking any of them to change their own curriculum, but what we are asking is when you walk into a home or when you encounter that family, you're just saying, are you aware you are eligible to receive Imagination Library? If not, let me get you signed up. If you are, hey, this is the book your baby's going to get this month, and here's some activities you can do to engage with your baby. So getting that parent training and engagement piece. And then finally, and this is, probably still a year or 2 out, but our further goal, a little out in the future, is to engage with higher ed to start including a literacy component in the nursing programs. So when, that mama goes after just initially finding out that she's pregnant, to have someone there who from the beginning is talking about the importance of literacy, the importance of that engagement with your child, and having those, those good conversations, and just helping your child navigate societal norms and how to, how to have conversations, how to relate to people, how to give and receive information in an appropriate way. So those are the things we're looking towards. But let me just go back and Laura Jane, thank you again. I appreciate that. I'm sorry about the trouble you had. But share with us what's happening in United Way of River Cities.
Several years ago, we had some of our people that were volunteers on our board that also were pre-K type of educators. And they came up with a program called Brain Under Construction Zone, and they actually developed a book and several activities and went in and trained nurses at Cabell Huntington Hospital in St. Mary's. We're also in Pleasant Valley and Mason County too. And so when that mother comes in and has that baby, before they leave the hospital, they have discussions with them about how to start engaging with their child from the get-go. You know, activities to learn to get their brains thinking, getting developed. We provide a pack of materials that they can take home with them. And when we found out about the Imagination Library, it just seemed to be a perfect fit into that, that no matter how their income was, they would be able to get a book once a month until the child was 5 years of age. We were able to get, Cabell County Schools was able to get an innovation grant, zone grant, that we funded it. Of course, now we're like everybody else. We're looking for more money, and we're still working, you know, to keep continuing to fund it. But it has worked so well. We take the forms in when people fill them out and then enter them into and send them to the state coordinator on that. But we've got a partnership that within all of our child care facilities in Cabell County, they know that they can provide those to people and let them know to sign up. Our WIC educators have them at the WIC offices, and when they meet with the families, to be able to get them signed up, you know, give them the form and get it turned in to get them to sign up. And we found that's really been a great engaging use to get everybody on board. When we go out and do activities, we'll have books with us, and we'll actually work with them one with within the groups, you know, showing them how they take that book and they interact with their kid as they're reading to them, and that they, you know, what kind of questions to do with them, and sounds to have them make, or things to answer back and forth, taking all those strategies and working with them so that they are doing that with their kids from the time that they're holding them in their arms, rocking them and reading to them up until they're ready to start the school. And we've really found that everybody's kind of come on board and helped with that. And I think it's one of those things that everybody kind of engages with, and the Imagination Library just gives you a really great starting point with that. The fact that you do have a book supplied, and that you can get activities, and you can have people work with them. And we're actually expanding that. We're starting to do some parent workshops after the beginning of the year at the library, that where we work with the parents, and, you know, maybe every month, to help give them more activities they can do as they work with their kids, as they read together, and, you know, how they can make that book more engaging and stretch their mind into different zones.
Yeah, that is very exciting. And Laura, share a little bit about how that has expanded as other counties have heard about, or other ways, I guess, have heard about what you're doing.
Yes, we've been lucky enough. Lena, that unfortunately couldn't be here today. She's our Childhood Success by Six initiative. We've kind of tied that into, we've done Born Learning academies, we've done Born Learning Trails, and we've developed that piece of material, that brain under construction zone, that we actually can train nurses to work with them, the mothers, before they leave. And we've actually been asked, Lena's done several trainings. She's done up in the Panhandle some trainings. She's done in Kanawha County and in Putnam County some trainings. You know, we've expanded it to where hospitals are in our service area. Now, it just so happens that most of the hospitals that covers all of our counties are in Cabell County, so we hit, you know, them there. But now that United Way Worldwide is kind of taking a look and seeing that we've got something in place. So now we're working with Charlotte and looking to try to get all the United Ways in West Virginia talking about how they can come in and come with this on-grade reading campaign, and how they can use things like the Imagination Library to help you guys out in the counties with your local schools.
Yeah, and one of the things I really appreciated that you all shared when we met together was that curriculum was actually developed by the medical profession. So yeah. I just think that is so powerful, that it's not another, you know, department initiative, but it's the people who are doing the work are the ones who develop the curriculum. And boy, I think that's going to be powerful when we start talking to higher ed about those nursing programs too. It's very exciting. And one thing you shared too that I think is very important is that doing something like Imagination Library, it is not based on income. it truly is, this is available to everyone. If it is in your county, it's available to every single child from birth to age 5. So if you have it in your county, I would encourage you to start looking at your percentage of children that you have signed up, and that might be one of your areas of focus. You know, on the midterm report, you have that lower section where you can add your own activities and data. That would be a great place to put. We started Imagination Library. We started with, 0 children. We've now expanded to we've got this percentage of our children covered. So, gosh, it's just really exciting work, and I love how all this fits together. How all the different partners have a piece of the puzzle, and just the willingness of partners to come together and say, we want to join with you. We're not interested in just doing our own thing. We're interested in making this as good as it can be. So I really appreciate you sharing with us.
Not a problem. It's a program that we're excited about.
Oh, gosh. Well, I sure appreciate the work that y'all are doing. Okay, so let's take a look at our next steps. I'm going to take a few minutes here. If you have any questions, this is a great time to type them in the chat box. While I'm waiting for that, if you want to take a look at these next steps, again, taking a look at that midterm report template. If you haven't seen it, it is posted on the campaign website. If you're not able to find it, please email me. I'll send you a copy directly. I'm happy to do that. Also, those RESA technical assistance meetings that are coming up in the months of January and February. I'm going to show you that schedule on the next slide. But if you have any feedback for revisions for the template, please let us know, because we want it to be as useful to you and to your campaign as it can be. So if you look through that and think, well, gosh, I really need a place for this, or I don't see how this is going to be useful. Whatever your feedback is, we're very appreciative of that. And don't forget to utilize your network of support. I have heard from the literacy specialists a lot. They're getting a lot of calls from you. They're making a lot of calls to you, and setting up times to meet and just help support whatever needs that you have. But if you haven't had an opportunity to do that, please do. Please take advantage of their services. That's, again, that's all of our jobs. That's why we are here, is to support the work you're doing. And then finally, there's that bright spots. I think we have this worked out now, that we're going to have a Twitter account. Actually, I think it's the department's Twitter account that we're going to be able to post the bright spots on. We had some trouble on our own website, doing it if it was a video or a lot of pictures. So I'm hopeful that is going to be an answer, a solution to being able to just celebrate the work that you're doing. So I'll get you more information about that as soon as I have it, about how you can tweet, I guess, to the Twitter account from the department. Okay, if you have not already gotten this information, here are the dates for the RESA technical assistance meetings that we will be providing for your county teams to come. And each RESA has a different number. We recommended that they allow 3 to 5 people from their county, from each county, to come. Your RESA will give you the specifics. But bringing your team together to meet with the other county teams in your RESA, we're going to work on that midterm report. We're going to look at those promising practices that are helping, provide that resource guide to you so you know exactly what partners either are in your area or are willing to expand to your area. And then just looking towards the future about next year's plan of action. Okay, this slide just shows dates of the future webinars. I did send out the memo yesterday that has all the login information for each of those. If you didn't get it, can't find it, whatever, please feel free again to let me know. I'll be happy to resend that to you. And then, as always, if you need any help, don't hesitate to let me know. I or the specialist assigned to your county are more than happy to help you. Oh, I have a question. Where are the webinars going to be posted? And let me just tell you, because they're not posted immediately, and that sometimes is confusing. What I have to do is send it to another department. They reformat them, and then they will post them on the campaign website under that System of Support tab. If you've been there, all the other webinars that we've done or resources that we've provided, it's in that same spot. But I will also be happy to share them with you from the OneDrive. I've got all of them on my OneDrive account too. So if you haven't gotten it or you need access to it, feel free to let me know, and I'll be happy to do that. The last one isn't there yet. Okay, I don't know about that. Let me check on that. I haven't even looked to see. So the last webinar isn't there yet. I will check on that about getting it posted. And then I also had a question, can you post today's PowerPoint? Absolutely. Yeah, I'll be happy to. Any other resources that you see and or need, let me know, because if I have it, it belongs to you as well. So I'll be happy to share that with you. Any other questions before we end? Okay, well, if not, I'm going to close the webinar, but thank you so much. I've always am so appreciative that you share your time with me, and hope you found it beneficial. Please let me know if I can be of any additional assistance.